November 8th, 2016. Did you begin to experience any of these symptoms? You're not alone. This condition may not be in the medical textbooks yet, but it's already been dubbed post-election stress disorder. It can strike anyone. Polls show that 25% of Republicans suffer from it too, and the remedy is far from simple. I spoke with Dr. Patricia Salber, an internist and emergency physician who consults and writes on health topics. Pat, I asked her, what can we do about this stress epidemic?
So it's kind of a balance between maintaining your mental health by cutting off your devices and putting your future at risk by not being active. My part of the resistance is I like to write, and I happen to have a blog. The doctor weighs in. So I use my writing as one of my forms of resistance. I will write about anything that I think is an outrage that people ought to get involved in. So I recently wrote a story about the fake science behind the anti-contraceptive movement.
Advocates of fake science, Pat writes, are in positions of power, and alternative facts have been weaponized by state legislatures. Teresa Manning, a former anti-abortion lobbyist, now runs federal programs on family planning. Former head of an anti-abortion advocacy group, Charmaine Yost, is Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at Health and Human Services. White House Domestic Policy Counsel, Katie Talento, claims that contraceptives cause infertility and miscarriages. So, alternative facts have become alternative science, designed to keep women from using birth control. What do you think is going to happen? And then, what happens to pregnant women who don't have health care?
If women don't have access to health care because they're uninsured, let's say they're in a state that didn't expand Medicaid, then they don't get prenatal care. If they don't get prenatal care, their pregnancy outcomes are worse. They may not be able to get care for their children.
Other dangers are even scarier. It's clear, Pat says, that the environmental consequences of climate change are killing humans right now. For instance, higher temperatures mean mosquitoes are spreading farther, reproducing more quickly, and spreading diseases like Zika and dengue fever. Extreme weather events are more common and more deadly. Been to Houston lately? It's harder to grow crops, and our crops contain less iron, zinc, and protein, making our food less nutritious.
So there are really multiple effects of climate change on health, and it isn't some future, boy, we won't have penguins and polar bears, which, people maybe worry about it a little bit. It's no, people are being affected with their health right now as we speak with the degree of climate change that we have now. And we can only anticipate that if we don't do the things that we need to do, that it's going to get worse.
Pat writes about the current dangers of climate change because descriptions of the future, she says, would scare the bejesus out of you. About now, your post-election stress disorder is probably flaring up worse than ever. Sorry about that. But solving the problem begins with an honest diagnosis so we can find a remedy that works. The new normal isn't normal, and it is not good for us.
I try and spread my stories widely. Now, can that get you into trouble? It certainly can get you into trouble. In fact, I had a job offer recently that was withdrawn when right before they were ready to give it to me, they discovered the blog. So there are risks to speaking out, and you have to take that into account when you decide how exactly it is that you want to participate in the resistance. But I do believe that doing nothing is really the only option in my mind that's not acceptable.
Doing what's right isn't always easy. But these threats are real. They are happening now, and they are killing people. Too many Americans don't know all this. That's why Pat writes her articles. That's why I make these videos. And that's why I'm hoping that you will help spread the truth as if our lives depended on it. Because they do.